the Skytech King 95. Maybe that wasn't the PC for you. Maybe it was just a tad bit more expensive than you were hoping, or you just don't like Nvidia at all. Boy, do I have just the thing for you. Hello all, it's Tom, and we're talking about the Skytech O11 Vision. The O11 Vision shares the same processor and RAM capacity as the King 95, the Ryzen 7 9700X3D, and 32GB of DDR5 RAM. 32GB is really great for most tasks nowadays, and you really won't have much complaints towards it. As for the 9800X3D, it's a really great processor which helps out a lot with gaming. That's about all the important similarities. Now, the Skytech O11 Vision uses the AMD RX 9070 XT, which is the AMD equivalent of the Nvidia RTX 5070 Ti. I'm sure you already know that Raytracing is Nvidia's department, but that's not to say that AMD can't do Raytracing. It definitely can handle Raytracing, but not as well as Nvidia GPUs. I know you're all itching for the performance section, but I want to talk about the price first. As it stands, this pre-built only costs $2,300. That's $300 less compared to the King 95, but is this PC worth $2,300? Well, seeing as how it's practically the same as the King 95 but with a 9070 XT instead of a 5070 Ti, I think it's more than worth it. Let's talk performance now. First off, let's talk about managed democracy. Helldivers 2 at 4K at the highest settings nets us an average of around 65 to 70 frames per second. At 4K, that's honestly reasonable, and it's still smooth enough to fuck over the enemies of freedom. Here's a newer title, and one that's a little bit of a blunder and a flop, AC Shadows. Now we're only including this for shits and giggles, but at 4K at high settings, we get an average FPS of 60-ish FPS. Here's a more respectable title, KCD2. At 4K with native anti-aliasing, at the highest settings, this GPU gets an average FPS of around 45 to 50 frames per second. That's honestly not a really good FPS for today's standards, but that's what FSR's for. Lastly, CS2. At the highest settings at 4K, we get an average FPS of around 120 frames per second, but you'll see it drop down to around 80 to 90 FPS on really demanding tasks such as rendering those crazy new particles. Anyhow, the rest of the PC is pretty normal, regular even. 32GB of DDR5 RAM clocked at 6000 MHz, which is good enough for practically every use you can find for it. Storage-wise, the O11 Vision has a 1TB SSD, which is enough for a few games and then some. I'd recommend going up to 2TB, but I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal just yet. And that's it for the O11 Vision. Before I end the video, could you maybe, just leave a like and a sub. Helps us out a lot. Anyway, the O11 Vision is $100 cheaper than the King 95, and it is a great alternative to the King 95 if you're looking for similar performance thanks to the 9070 XT. You can scan this QR code here, or you can click on the link in the description below if you think the O11 Vision is for you. I'm Tom, thanks for watching.